As the governing ANC prepares for the January 8th statement in the city of Mbombela and Mpumalanga, the party's former president, Jacob Zuma, earlier addressed a gathering of All Africa Alliance movement. The movement, which is predominantly led by church leaders, has thrown its weight behind the 81-year-old former ANC leader. Last month in Soweto, Zuma announced that he will neither vote nor campaign for the ANC, adding that he will vote for the newly registered Umkhonto weSizwe party. For more on this conversation, we're now joined by ANC veteran and political commentator Omry Makgoale. Mtata Makgoale, I appreciate your time. Thanks for speaking to us. Now, give us your opinion on Jacob Zuma's address to the All African Alliance movement earlier.
Yes, I listened to most of his address, the initial part. I didn't get the last part of his address. But in the initial part of what he addressed, it was true a reflection of history as to where we come from 1652, up to, the Union of South Africa and the formation of the ANC. I think he gave that narration very well historically. And, later on, of course, I couldn't hear the last part of his speech. But up to the formation of the ANC, I think I understood him very well. It was a true reflection of our history as South African black people.
Now, we understand that the All Africa Alliance movement has thrown its weight behind the 81-year-old former president. What can we read into this, or the strategy that Jacob Zuma is taking in some of these engagements and addresses that he's making?
Yes, I think the former president of ANC is abusing our name of MK. I would say abusing it because the MK name, MK was formed by the ANC and the South African Communist Party, and it's registered as an ANC trademark. So ideally, nobody should use it who is no longer aligned to the ANC, who is not assigned by the ANC to use that name. Ideally, it should not be used by anybody else except the ANC and the South African Communist Party, because MK was formed by the two organizations way back in 1961. So he does not really have the right to use this name in this manner. But, if legally it's allowed, we'll see how it goes on. But for us, it's abuse of our name. As a former MK soldier, it's abuse of our name. We're not happy with that the name is being used in this manner. MK was an army, not a political party, and it will remain an army of ANC and South African Communist Party, and it's no longer existent because now we have MKLWV, Umkhonto weSizwe Liberation War Veterans, that is representing all MK veterans.
Mtata Makgoale, just how much confusion is this causing within the ANC, and also, I suppose, amongst the ANC voters or potential voters?
Look, I think there will be a support for Zuma, no doubt about it, if he uses this name of MK party. And some of the former MK comrades, of course, we have seen them. They have joined this party, MK party. And some of the supporters of former President Zuma in KZN and Gauteng will continue supporting Zuma. And this will definitely affect the ANC vote if we go to elections with this party still available, MK political party. It will definitely affect the ANC vote. So it's something to worry about, and the ANC should take it seriously in that way.
Now, Fikile Mbalula, the SG for the ANC, has said that the NEC will reflect on Zuma's transgressions and respond appropriately. In your view, what is that appropriate response?
I think basically what should happen is that, the ANC office should, of course, take the matter to the EIC, the Independent Electoral Commission, to protest against the use of this name. And, of course, also to show that this is a trademark of ANC and it should not be used by anybody without the permission of the ANC office. So I think that that's how maybe the office will take it forward. And it will now be up to the lawyers, the skills of the lawyers, as to how quick this is resolved or whether it's resolved before the elections. But it's going to depend on the lawyers, the skills of the lawyers. as you know, in South Africa, the lawyers can drag a case, to infinity. So it will depend on the skills of the lawyers from the ANC side, whether they succeed quickly against this name usage by the former president.
Now, the issue, according to the ANC constitution, from what I've gathered, is that he cannot support the MK party and remain a member of the ANC. Should he be dismissed from the ANC? And if so, what are the implications of that?
Look, in my mind, I speak as an independent, veteran. In my mind, we should really discipline him. He should be held before the disciplinary committee of the ANC and suspended until further notice, and if need be, expelled for bringing the party into disrepute. This would be my advice, but I'm not in office, so those who are in office will have to decide on that. The disciplinary committee must decide on that. The integrity commission must decide on that, and the NEC must decide on that. But on my side, I would say they should suspend him and until further notice, and bring him before the disciplinary committee for bringing the party into disrepute. What he's doing is completely unacceptable in my mind.
Dr. Makgoale, let's look at the 2024 election and the potential catastrophe that the disciplinary hearing or disciplining of Jacob Zuma might have on the ANC, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, where he seems to still hold a fair amount of support. Would that be one of the considerations by the ANC NEC?
Look, I think we should consider it. Of course, its impact in KZN is more, maybe will have more impact than in other provinces. And of course, it might lead to ANC actually losing the province, in a big way. So it is something that must be considered. But I think that, sometimes we have to trust our supporters in KZN, that some of them are aware that Zuma has not been good for us. Because, as you know, the Gupta families benefited, the Watson benefited, under President Zuma. And some of the voters in KZN, some of the ANC voters did not really benefit anything from the Guptas. They remain homeless, some of them, and some of them are still destitute, So I think that we must trust our supporters and members in KZN that they will not be hoodwinked by the former president, So that's my belief. So we should, not worry much about him, and if need be, suspend him, and trust that our members in KZN will continue supporting the movement, the ANC, irrespective of what the former president is doing.
So there has been a lot of talk on political streets, if you will, around the possibility that come next election, the ANC for the first time will fall below 50%. Now, there are many issues that the citizenry are dissatisfied with. What is it that you think the ANC needs to do ahead of the next election to retain its current votership or to increase it?
Look, I think the main problem with the ANC at the moment is the ANC internal corruption. ANC has to clean itself, right? The vote for the ANC actually depends on what ANC does internally, rather than external forces, and other parties. But if the ANC cleans itself, and the voters in KZN are aware that the ANC is cleaning itself, all the people who are implicated in various scandals are removed from the candidate list. The voters in KZN, ANC supporters, will support the ANC because, but as long as the ANC doesn't appear to be clean, it doesn't appear to be ethical, we will not get any support. So what I'm saying is the support for ANC depends on the ANC itself rather than external political parties. That's according to my view. But the other thing is, what is important is ultimately the change of parliamentary adoption laws. That's the one that's going to solve most of our problems, because the people in, whether it's KZN or other provinces, in their constituencies must be allowed to directly elect their members of parliament. Then they will elect people they trust, people they know and trust in their respective areas, irrespective of which party one belongs to. So, and I think that should be the way to go to save the country.
Tata Makgoale, appreciate your time. That was ANC veteran and political commentator Omry Makgoale speaking to us from Ekurhuleni.